Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed the lively discussion on the geopolitical context for migration diplomacy that we heard right now. Live from our studio in Vienna, I am very happy to welcome you to our focus session on digital transformation in migration management, a real asset or just a trend. My name is Cecilia Lundstroem Carniel, and I will be your moderator for this session. I am the head of external and member states relations in ICMPD. ICMPD has spent the past year analyzing how both human and state security can be safeguarded in modern migration management. And exploring the use of technology has been an important component of our work. One can say that technological innovations have led to a rethinking of migration management. The digitalization of procedures can support governments in effectively managing migration. While it has been a trend more generally, we have also seen this as a particular response to the challenges posed by COVID-19 and to the spike in arrivals that we have seen also in recent years. The advantages in technology present great opportunities for migration management, but maybe also risks. In this context, can digitalization represent a real asset for migration management? As always, you can follow the conversation via Twitter using the hashtag ViennaMigConf. With me today, I am very happy to have Britta Behrendt, the head of division for general issues of migration and refugee policy and EU freedom of movement at Germany's Ministry of Interior. Germany currently holds the EU presidency, and during the presidency, the country has chosen to focus on migration management, technology and migration management. And this initiative has been called Migration 4.0 process, and we will hear more about that later on. Also joining me is Lotje van der Made. She's the head of pre-return assistance sector within the European Center for Return at Frontex. She's the part of efforts to digitalize return operation, including through the use of dedicated IT tools, such as the return case management system and a regular migration management application, as well as through data collection. So, as mentioned, technological inventions have led to changes in migration management. For about a decade, governments have started to shift from analog to digital systems and increasingly use digital solutions. Here often following also the private sector's lead. And we have also seen the acceleration due to the COVID-19 crisis. Britta, we have been hearing a lot about technology and migration, and we hear a lot about artificial intelligence and big data. These are terms that we hear in the debate. But what do we mean when we speak about artificial intelligence and big data in migration management? And why has Germany chosen to focus on migration and technology during the presidency? Britta, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Cecilia, very much. Thank you, Lotje, for being here. I'm really happy to be part of this session today and this afternoon. Yeah, actually, I think we chose this topic, digital transformation of migration management, because I have to be honest, for Germany, the digital transformation proved to be a real asset. This is the first point, because, you know, in 2015, we had a situation when 10,000 people were crossing the borders at one day, and we had the Office for Migration and Asylum being a kind of normal office, and they had to face this challenge. And so we, as Germany, and with our office, we were forced to find new ways of solving these kind of challenges. And digitalization of processes proved to be the right solution for us. And we experienced this kind of disruptive change. And we chose to choose this topic for the German presidency, because we would really love to share our experiences with the other member states and the agencies, because from our point of view, this is the way forward and the way to the future. I think, to be honest, there is no choice saying, oh no, we don't care about the digital transformation. It is already there. It's just the question, will we be a part of it? Are we able to adapt quick enough? And I think so we, as the European Union and the member states, And the agencies, we really have to adapt. And I think we are already adapting, but maybe we come back to that later.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we will come back and have a bit more of concrete examples also later. And we will also see a short film showing us some examples of this. Lotje, if you would like to start from your perspective at Frontex, where do you see the main opportunities for the digitalization or the digital transformation of migration management? Please, the floor is yours, Lotje.
Thank you, Cecilia. Hello from the Netherlands in this case. It's a pleasure to be here. The main opportunities with regards to digitalization, I think there are many. Migration management is very complex. If you look at migration management, there are many different actors, many different stakeholders, different stages and procedures. If you look at the process or the timeline of one migrant traveling, you have a country of departure, you have a country of transit, you have a country of arrival in the EU, potentially legal or illegal stay, and also sometimes return. In each of these different processes, there are different stages and different actors that need to be interconnected. So if you look at the different opportunities, I see here the possibilities for digitalization to connect the different stakeholders, action holders, but also different systems, just to make sure that we are communicating with each other. Also, another opportunity for digitalization is to provide a better understanding and have common definitions or a common approach. It's very simple if you look at, let's say, data collection and say, well, we need to count the number of people that are arriving. But how do you count that? Are you talking about one person? Are you talking about one person that is entering once or perhaps multiple times? So also these details in terms of counting and definitions are crucial in order to have a better understanding, to allow you to analyze the situation, but also to allow you to be prepared, to identify the priorities and to have also a better operational reaction to that. So of course, then the other opportunities would be the operational planning. If you have digitalization and you have all these processes well mapped out, you can also work together better with the different stakeholders and see where you can be more efficient and effective in the different stages of migration management. And then as a last part, I would say also on an operational level, if you talk about migration management, and I think this is also something that we are all experiencing now under COVID-19, is that remote access and ability to be on the spot with the different tools, or the opposite, where you have long distance solutions, are very important. So also here, digitalization is very much a tool that can assist from my point of view. Back to you, Cecilia.
Thank you very much. No, I think you touched very important points there also, like that it can really help to bring people closer and, like we are now actually, although, but really in the migration management. We will also come back to the issue of cooperation that you hinted now that it can really help processes of cooperation. Now we would like to show a short video which is illustrating the digitalization process that BAMF, Germany's Federal Office for Migration and Refugees, has undertook in order to streamline procedures for asylum seekers. And it's giving a pretty good overview over how this can look. So the video will come on.
The high number of refugees entered between 2015 and 2016 posed major challenges for the German Federal Office for Migration and Refugees, the BAMF. Particular demands were placed on IT here, which had to be reorganized and modernized to optimally incorporate the many new arrivals seeking asylum and to support employees at the same time. This led to a comprehensive digital transformation never seen before in the landscape of the German authorities. The first priority here was the digitization of identity management. The digitally recorded data could therefore be further processed immediately by other authorities, which provides for a high degree of transparency, clarity, and security. Furthermore, The Federal Office also had to ensure the availability of language professionals at hearings, which meant introducing nationwide systems for booking and online networking of interpreters and translators. In order to ensure the best possible asylum application process that is transparent and fair for all sides, the BUMP also strives to complete digitisation of all work processes. On top of this, the Federal Office is working on the further development of the identity management tools for clear identification of asylum applicants, such as name transcription and image biometrics, and has launched other IT projects for which innovative technologies and ways of working have become firm fixtures in the Federal Office. The BUMP was the first authority to try out the innovative blockchain technology. A major highlight was the opening of the IT laboratory in 2017, which provides modern facilities for software development using agile methods within a productive work environment, with the aim being to find creative solutions. November 2019 saw the next milestone with the opening of the Creative Information Technology Centre in Berlin, or CIC for short. This offers cutting-edge facilities for the latest IT ideas and projects for the future, and utilises its proximity to the IT hotspot of Berlin, as well as to ministries and other authorities. The BUMP has also kicked off IT research and developed its contacts with science and research, and in this way has enabled the latest findings and the spirit of the times to flow into the IT projects. Hence, the BUMP has not only mastered the challenges of recent times, but is also a pioneer of digitisation among the German authorities.
Hello again. I think this video provides a really helpful overview over BUMP's digitalization efforts, and it was definitely a large undertaking. Britta, if I can ask you to comment on this, what are the greatest benefits you've seen? And maybe you can provide some specific examples. There were many interesting examples also mentioned in the video. Please, Britta.
Yeah. Cecilia, I think the video already showed some of the most interesting technical achievements we made during this period, or the BUMP made during this period. I think for us the most important point was the identity management, because you have to imagine like Germany as a federal state with all the different authorities, like 16 different Bundesländer, and then the state authorities, the different police agencies involved. And, in 2015-16, we had to be really, really quick in developing ways and processes of sharing biometric data with all these different authorities. And this was quite a challenge. And so I think for me, the most impressive thing about it all, or the most interesting point, is the way it was done. And actually, it was done in a really innovative way, because there were like teams created and really diverse teams. And they tried to merge people with the lawyers and IT people. So they had to find new solutions for having name transcription, for example, within 6 weeks. So they had to be a team which has lawyers on board, IT people, and people who are really able to decide on an ad hoc basis. So it was an absolute disruptive change to the way we work normally in the Federal Ministry of Interior and in our offices, because normally, it's like a ministry works. It's like you have to write something and then the state secretary decides, and then at the end the minister decides, but it was not possible in those days. So we really had to find agile ways of working together, and this was really an impressive change. And the one being responsible for this process in the office, German office, the federal office, was Mr. Markus Richter, who is now our state secretary, and he's now responsible for, he's our Bundes-CIO, so responsible for IT management for the whole government. So I think he really earned it because that was really innovative what he did. And so for me, the most interesting point about this process is the way it was done. Okay. And that's why actually we chose to create this process of Migration 4.0, because this was the film we saw. It was just about the digital tools, but there is a much broader landscape of possibilities, like dealing with the tools, but dealing with the ways we communicate within each other or with the migrants, and then the way we can have tools like migration forecasting, for example. And so we initiated this process, Migration 4.0, to start an exchange with the experts, but with the political decision takers and as well. So it's quite a comprehensive approach, but I think we need this kind of a comprehensive approach. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a very interesting perspective that you brought also here, like what the process of implementing this, what it does to the administration and the cooperation among the people. Also, it's a very interesting perspective. Maybe later we will have time to maybe return to examples of this innovation, because we also talked, like we saw that you have laboratories exploring new ways, and I think that is also a very interesting perspective. Maybe we can return to that a little later. I would just like to turn to Lotje to ask, in the area of return, like specifically, like now we've spoken more generally migration management, specifically in the area of return, how have these digitalization supported your efforts in Frontex? We'd like a bit more concrete examples. Please, Lotje.
Yes, indeed. I think digitalization is supporting all the different processes and also, of course, also therefore in return. In Frontex, we are dividing the different stages of the return process according also to the different steps. So we have the sector pre-return, which is focusing on the activities that are taking place before the actual return takes place. So here, predominantly, we are discussing with the countries of origin different stages, different processes, but also, for example, identification. We also know now that identification is very difficult to conclude in person due to COVID-19 restrictions. But here we also look into different solutions like video conferencing. Of course, we all use video conferencing for meetings, but of course, these types of solutions can also be used for many different procedures in the return process. One of the other needs that we saw in returns is also, of course, the ability to contact and to share information in a platform. So also there we have the possibilities to have secure environments where people can exchange best practices, but also share, for example, specific details on different procedures, what works, what doesn't work. So also to have an ICT solution that provides you this secure environment where you can interconnect with your direct partners. And of course, as Frontex, we play a role here in supporting the member states. That is very much what is relevant in the area of pre-return. If we talk about return operations, so the operational part of actually returning the returnee to the country of origin, also there's cooperation, for example, where returnees from different countries are on board of one single flight. Of course, that also has to be coordinated. And what is more easy than having an online tool where different member states can see, well, there's an upcoming flight. We have some candidates who would like to return. Let's put them together on this return flight so we can all be efficient in that matter. In the future, we will also look into different areas after the return operation, post-arrival, post-return. So also there we are looking in interconnecting with the different stakeholders and see also how we can in the future align the different digitalization tools that we have for pre-return, return operations, and the last part of the return process where Frontex is involved.
Thank you. Now, the very interesting concrete examples how this is definitely facilitating for you. I would like to use a bit of time to turn to our current reality. We have talked about digital transformation in the context of crisis. we are in one of the biggest crises that we have faced, and it's unfolding. I think COVID-19 has definitely spurred. We have seen that has spurred technologically the development of technology. But how can it be even more an opportunity to take the next steps of digitalization, and how will this look like? What are the concrete efforts that have been taken because of COVID-19, and how you think that will continue in the future? And I would like to ask both of you this question. So if you please, if maybe Britta would like to start with a few minutes just to reflect on the effects of COVID-19 there. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. I think the effects of COVID-19 will remain. On the one hand, on the technical impact, because I think this step has already been taken. I think there's no way back on that. But I think for us, it proved that our goal, having this kind of digital transformation, proved to be right, because even before COVID-19, Germany supported this, for example, this project, virtual counseling, like counseling potential people who want to return to their home countries in a virtual way, like being able to communicate with people in their home countries. And this process was financed as a pilot project by Germany. And at the beginning, people were kind of skeptical because it costs quite a lot of money and it can't be counted. The success can't be immediately counted. But right now, we were so happy in COVID-19 crisis to have this tool at our hand. And it proved to me that sometimes you have to really invest in the future. And even if you don't know if you need it in the future, but I think this investment turned out to be a right one. So I think the step towards further digitalization, I think this step has already been taken. So from my point of view, we are on this way to the future, but we have to take care of the ethical questions as well. And it's all about being resilient to new crises, and we have to be aware, and we have to monitor ourselves all the time if we're still on track, if things are efficient enough, because we're not doing this digitalization for the sake of digitalization. It has to be effective. I think the purpose of digitalization is to help the people, to help us, to help the migrants in migration management. And if it's not efficient, or if it doesn't prove to be efficient in the one application, we have to change it. So we have to be really aware that we have to monitor our efforts all the time. So this is a lesson learned from the COVID-19 crisis.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You're also touching upon the challenges, which is what I also wanted to come to. But maybe we first hear from Lotje, developments from the COVID-19 crisis, and will they stay with us? And then maybe we can also talk a little bit about the challenges also after that. What apart from what Britta just mentioned, but what more do we have to look out for? So please, Lotje, first on your views on the developments, please.
Thank you. I think there is a well-known meme circulating around asking who led the digital transformation in your company. Is it the CEO, the CTO, or COVID? Where usually it is now COVID. I would say for Frontex, we were already working on a lot of digitalization efforts, particularly in the area of return, also because in the past it was an issue that was highlighted by the member states as one of the areas that they had some challenges and needs. But also on our side, of course, COVID has sped up the process in different areas. Some concrete examples of what really was required during COVID-19 it is very basic. For example, a general overview of which measures were in place, in which country, what flights were still operating, which airports were open. So these very basic things, but to have a platform that people could have a good overview, where they could see near live or completely live overview of information, became suddenly extremely important. We were also looking at, indeed, the need to have more communication tools because we were also used to have many meetings in person. And suddenly this has had to be expanded to video conferencing, where on one hand, of course, we do have many of these solutions in place. There's also some other issues that are coming up in that discussion. What if we don't, very simple ones? Do we have sufficient bandwidth? Do we have connectivity? What are the security issues regarding doing everything on a digital level? Data protection issues. So these elements all had to be taken into account when you look into, let's say, this digitalization process. Also, for example, we had to revert to digital training solutions because, of course, work continues in different areas. New experts are arriving now, in particular in Frontex with the development of the standing core, where the training was foreseen to be face-to-face. This suddenly was not possible anymore because the trainers could not travel from point A to point B. So also here, the development of training programs in an online solution had to be found. And I think these ways give us a taste of how to be more prepared. I very much echo what Britta has been saying. We have learned that we have to be agile. We have to be very much focused on what works and what doesn't work, and not just focus on digitalization just for the aim of having something digitalized. Really look at the outcome. What purpose does it serve? And I think many of the changes that we have put in place, platforms, access to information, mobile solutions, are really changes that are to stay. Also because we have now become accustomed to it. Whereas in the past we said, oh, this will be very difficult, or we are not used to it. Now we do know that it's actually possible. We have gotten used to it. So why should we revert to a way that is maybe now, I would not say outdated, but at least there's another option in place. So I think there are many possibilities also, despite the negative parts of COVID-19, but also some positive part that allow us to make more positive changes in the future as well. Back to you, Cecilia.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, I think you have both definitely also summarized several of, first of all, that we don't believe, or you don't believe, that we are going backwards after this, or that administrations are going backwards, but that this is progress that is here to stay and here to help us further. But also that you pointed out a couple of the challenges that we have to watch out for. Britta, you mentioned that we need to keep monitoring what we're doing and that we're doing it for a specific purpose. You also mentioned that, Lotje, and as well from a personal perspective, I guess the security for people and personal data. I guess this is also one of the challenges. Maybe would you like to highlight something else that we have now? We are in a process. We are here to stay, and what do we have to look out for in the future specifically, going down this road? If one of you would like to, please.
Yeah, I think another side effect of COVID-19 is the financial crisis we are going to head into. So this is another point that has to be really taken account of, because all these digital tools, or bigger digital tools like forecasting tools, they're like really expensive tools. And so I think we really have to make up our mind how we can share the experience to create common value for all the member states and all the agencies. So this is going to be an issue, I think, in the next weeks and months to come, because actually in the German presidency, we had a kind of survey among the member states and the agencies, and concerning the degree of digitalization in the different member states. And it was really interesting because nearly all the member states are active in this field and having kind of digitalization projects. But one really important point nearly made by all of the member states was the financial side of it. So I think from my point of view, it's really important for Europe, or the member states and the agencies, to get together and cooperate in a more closely and coordinated way. And that's why we, as the German presidency, we really appreciate the new initiative of the blueprint on migration and crisis management. Because I think from our point of view, this heads into the future, because it creates a kind of resilience and information sharing mode in normal times, not just in crisis times. And there's included this huge project of creating kind of forecasting tool for the whole of Europe. And I think this is really an interesting project we really support from the heart. And because it's really, I think it's the way of creating a kind of network of experts. That's the way we have to cooperate in the future. It's not about being just the member states, but you have to work like this. You have to be a network, and this is the new agile way of cooperating. And I'm really glad that we are on the right way.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was also summing up very well. Sadly, we are actually out of time, but I would like to just wrap this up very shortly. Would you like to say just a few words, Lotje, to also round up your statements or your interventions here?
Yes. Thank you, Cecilia.
If you could keep it a little bit short, that would be great. We are sadly running out of time. We don't. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Cecilia. Indeed, also from our side, very much echoing what Britta has said and the good work also in the German presidency. Digitalization is one of the core processes, I think, that are underlining many elements of migration management. And this is also something that you cannot do alone. It doesn't really make sense only for one member state or one stakeholder to work on it. We have to look at it together and also make sure that we are aligned in this. Interconnectivity, matching systems. It doesn't need to be the same system, but at least to work in a way that they mirror each other, and they can all be different according to national legislations, national procedures. This is something that is really of vital importance for us to be able to move ahead in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, both of you, for your really great contributions to this interesting and fascinating topic. I can also highlight quickly that we will continue discussions together with Britta and her team and the German presidency. We will have a meeting in a few weeks' time on this topic. So, of course, and the Migration 4.0 process is also continuing on this topic. I would like to thank you, and thank you to all the viewers. And I would also like to invite you back for our last focus session of the day, which explores the Silk routes and the role of migrants in policy making and programming, and how to talk to migrants. It will start in a little less now than 15 minutes here on the live stream. So please join us again. And again, a warm thanks to both of you, and I wish you all a good evening. So goodbye.